Rachel Zegler is bragging about the success of Snow White, a movie set to lose hundreds of millions of dollars. And let's be real, a big part of that is on her. Audiences didn't show up, and the few who did walked away disappointed. Hey everyone, welcome back. Today we're diving into the latest Snow White controversy. Fans are slamming both the movie and its lead actress, Rachel Zegler. And now, rumors are swirling that Disney is quietly pulling Snow White merchandise from stores. Is the backlash so intense that Disney is making last-minute damage control moves? And how is Rachel handling all of this? Stay tuned because we've got all the details. The numbers are brutal. Theaters across the country are nearly empty. Over on IMDb, the film has plummeted to a 1 out of 10 rating. The criticism? Almost everything. Acting, writing, directing, production, even cinematography. Fans expected Disney-level magic, but instead, they got a disjointed mess. One viewer described the entire aesthetic as a fever dream, and not in a good way. Yeah, we had more dwarfs on screen than viewers in the theater, and funnily enough, the movie didn't even have real dwarfs. Instead, Disney used CGI-generated weird creatures that looked completely out of place. A lot of the backlash is directed at Rachel Zegler, the actress playing Snow White. Instead of embracing the classic role, she seemed determined to redefine it, alienating a large portion of the audience in the process. Disney pitched this remake as a modern reinterpretation, but fans are calling it a tone-deaf disaster. Key elements that made Snow White beloved, like her romance with the prince, were removed entirely. And here's the thing, you can update a classic without erasing its core identity. The best remakes respect the source material while adding fresh ideas. But in this case, critics argue that Snow White lost its heart and soul, leaving behind a hollow, disconnected film. Even longtime Disney loyalists, people who usually defend their films, are now speaking out against it. When Disney's own fan base turns on a movie, you know something went wrong. Let's talk about Rachel Zegler's attitude, because that played a huge role in the backlash.
Instead of a seamless narrative, the audience gets what some call a hodgepodge of scenes that never blend into a coherent storyline. As for the budget, it ballooned to the point that recouping costs would have demanded a massive turnout over multiple weekends. Yet, the wave of negative press in advance, driven by leaks about potential storyline changes and glimpses of the production's visual approach, dampened enthusiasm. Long before the release, some fans had started voicing apprehension, fearing that something was off about this adaptation. Their concerns centered around the possibility of major departures from Snow White's original themes, worrying that the story's classic charm would be overridden by modern additions that felt forced. Meanwhile, Rachel Zegler maintains that the film was intended as an instructive work aimed at empowering younger viewers by removing the dependency on a romantic partner. She has described the criticisms as stemming from what she labels a particular demographic she believes is resistant to progress.
During press interviews, she made headlines for her comments about the film. At one point, she even demanded to be paid for every single hour she wore the Snow White dress on set. Sure, actors deserve fair compensation, but complaining about hourly pay while making millions? That didn't sit well with audiences. And let's be real, most people aren't mad about her paycheck. They're mad that the movie itself feels like a mess. Reshoots reportedly happened 3 times, with entire sections being rewritten and refilmed. This left the final product feeling disjointed, with abrupt cuts and awkward transitions that made the movie hard to follow. The budget? A complete disaster. The film's costs ballooned to nearly $250 million. For Disney to break even, they needed a record-breaking box office run, which clearly didn't happen. And honestly, people saw this coming. Months before release, leaks about storyline changes and strange production choices raised red flags. Fans started voicing concerns that the movie was stripping away everything that made the original special. And now that it's out, those fears have been confirmed. Rachel Zegler has doubled down on her position, insisting that her version of Snow White is about female empowerment and not needing a man to save her. But here's the thing, why can't she be strong and also have a love story? It's not one or the other. And then there's the ending. Reports say the final scene features a bizarre dance sequence, where characters wear matching white outfits in a celebration that feels completely out of place.
People who disliked the movie often stress that their objections are grounded primarily in the film's perceived low quality. including flawed structure, shallow character arcs, and scenes that feel entirely out of place in the Snow White universe. Others point out that even major supporters of contemporary spins on old fairy tales can become frustrated when the final product seems half-baked. The film's conclusion, for instance, apparently features a festive scene in which characters are wearing matching white outfits and performing a dance that many regard as bizarrely off-tone, according to various accounts, do not harmonize with the tone of the original narrative, nor with any natural character progression. Rather, they pop up uncomfortably, leaving viewers scratching their heads. Executives at Disney appear to have recognized the extent of the problem partway through the promotional phase. As reviews and early box office data began to paint a bleak picture, the marketing campaign was reportedly scaled down, likely to avoid throwing good money after bad. The merchandise connected to the film also experienced a downturn, with some lines supposedly discontinued or never fully rolled out. The heavy financial toll is all the more surprising because Disney's live-action updates typically manage, at the very least, passable returns at the global box office. Snow White, however, seems poised to set an unwanted record as perhaps the biggest flop in that category.
Critics are roasting it, saying it doesn't fit the tone of Snow White at all. Moments like this highlight the biggest issue. The movie lacks a clear vision. Instead of telling a compelling version of the classic fairy tale, it tries to force modern themes in a way that feels clumsy and unnatural. Even die-hard Disney fans, who usually defend everything, are saying, yeah, this one's a flop. Disney knows this movie is tanking. The marketing push was scaled back, likely to avoid throwing even more money into a project that was already dead on arrival. And now there are reports that merchandise is being pulled. If true, that would be a massive red flag. Disney typically relies on merchandise sales to offset production costs, but if stores aren't moving Snow White products, that's a sign of total failure. Industry insiders say Snow White might go down as one of Disney's biggest financial disasters ever. Even their worst-performing live-action remakes usually make some money. But this one? It's shaping up to be a record-breaking bomb. The backlash doesn't stop at the movie itself. Rachel Zegler's past comments have resurfaced, including some controversial statements about Latino representation and even accusations against her West Side Story co-stars. These remarks have only fueled the criticism against her. And let's be honest, Disney probably regrets casting her at this point. She had a golden opportunity to become Hollywood's next leading lady. But instead of embracing that, she came across as entitled and dismissive. Now, with Snow White crashing and burning, industry experts are questioning whether she'll get another major role anytime soon. So, where does this leave Disney? This disaster could mark a turning point. Studios can't keep banking on nostalgia while gutting the original stories. The old strategy of remaking classics for guaranteed box office success may no longer work, especially if audiences feel like their favorite stories are being disrespected. For years, Disney assumed that audiences would blindly support any remake just because of name recognition. But Snow White proves that fans aren't buying it anymore. Will Disney learn from this, or will they keep making the same mistakes? Let us know what you think in the comments. That's it for today. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you next time.